stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Well, I sent Dave the solution. We'll see if he can solve it.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, racing fans from coast to coast, we are on the brink of history. This is it, the final lap of the regular season in the Racers Elite Cup Series. A culmination of months of heart-stopping action, nail-biting finishes, and unforgettable moments. We've seen rivalries forged, friendships tested, and champions emerge. From the blazing heat of Daytona to the rolling hills of Pennsylvania's Pocono Mountains, these drivers have pushed their machines and themselves to the absolute limit. Every caution flag, every restart, every pass has brought us to this defining moment. The playoffs loom large, but before we turn the page, let's celebrate this chapter. Tonight, we'll witness a crowning of a regular season champion, a driver who's shown consistency, skill, and sheer determination. But remember, this isn't just about the title, it's about the journey, the battles, the camaraderie. It's about the roar of the engines and the smell of the burning rubber and the electric atmosphere that only eNASCAR can create. So fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight, and let's enjoy this final lap of the regular season together, because we've seen this time and time again. everything can happen and anything can happen in NASCAR. This is it, folks. The stage is set. Let the show begin. I'm Dave Regal, the voice of the Racers Elite Cup Series, alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Alan Bergen, and we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, we are underway already, as we have been having some audio issues on the back end, so I do apologize for that, as we have now gone green flag racing here on lap number 2, 105 laps, the scheduled distance tonight. Of course, the only actual audio problems that we're having is on my end. I know you folks can hear everything on your side, but unfortunately I am flying audio, at least audio-wise, completely blind. But we see Shay Cox, who is our pole sitter. He is now leading Andrew Teft and Ed Jurgen. You can see here on the left-hand side of your screen, the names in blue are the drivers locked into the playoffs, whereas these drivers in red, they're the ones that are sitting on the bubble from the outside looking in. Shay Cox here now opening up about a 1.25 second lead over Andrew Teft, and he just laid fast time down as Andrew Teft is trying desperately to hold off Ed Jurgen here in the number 92. Andrew Teft here with Dennis Kane now side by side. As we're going to go up to the blimp cam, we can see the 41 of Aaron Marquis starting to work his way here to the low side. That's not really the preferred line to pass here at Homestead Miami. That high side right there where Dennis Kane is, that's where all the speed is locked up in this racetrack, as Dennis Kane now comes down along the front stretch here with now the 41 just behind, blinking out with a connection issue, looking to the inside now to try to secure that line away from Dennis Kane. But here, that low line will just simply eat up your tires, and we can see the run that Dennis Kane is getting coming out of turn 2 and onto the backstretch as we work lap number 5 of 105. Dave Regal with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Glad to have all of you in with us tonight. Again, we apologize for the unfortunate audio issues here, but at least quite frankly, the audio issues are literally on my side. I can't hear the cars. I can't hear Discord. It's just me talking here into the microphone on my end. So it's a very quiet and odd night just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as we're here on lap number 6. Brandon Honeycutt. Bear with me here, folks.
Mike. Check.
Well, folks, we finally got it figured out for reasons I'm not quite sure of. It's just that the world didn't want to cooperate tonight for, well, let's just say gremlins, because it is regular season finale time.
Yeah, I don't think the universe wants the regular season finale to end either. Yeah, and look, the season finale, the regular season finale, I wouldn't say the season finale, but nonetheless, a lot of good drivers are making it. I'm watching Wilcox and Marshall Harris. Those are the two drivers that are on the bubble right now, and they really got to have a good finish. Looking at the playoff picture now, we have a slim chance of history here in Racers Elite, as Andrew Taft has made the playoffs in all two out of the 3 series so far, and he's solidly in the playoffs for the Next Gen Series.
Yeah, here in the Next Gen Series, I had it pulled up, but there was a Windows update that caused everything to want to throw up. And I'll tell you what, here in the Next Gen Series, this competition for the playoffs is something fierce, and it's something that we just, quite frankly, don't get a whole lot of opportunity to see in real time, especially with both Teft brothers up here, in the playoffs and doing as well as they are, no matter what the week is, no matter where we are and what division of this league we're in.
You're absolutely correct. But, lap 18, and we got our first yellow.
First caution of the night. Let's see what it is. And at least we can tell you this much. We know that this will work for the time being as we get ready to bring up the old replay. We're going to watch Bryce Hutter here in the 29 working just over top of the 11 and just has the rear end of that 29 car, goes sideways. And I'll tell you what, if he were to have gotten down onto the paint, and we're going to see just a little bit of that maybe as he tries to get some traction. You see how there's no tire marks there on the paint as he's trying to get ready to rock and roll? It's literally because the paint, the paint is so slick it doesn't even take rubber.
Oh man, the Pioneers sponsored number 007. I feel like he needs James Bond on the front of that car.
It would definitely be a little appropriate, that's for sure. Shay Cox here in the 007. Ed Jurgen running P2. Brandon Sanfilippo in third. Dennis Kane runs in fourth with Aaron Marquis holding down your top 5. Dennis Kane right now, your highest running playoff driver. And Marshall Harris right now running in 9th position. Now in points, Marshall Harris is down here in 15th position. He's got to finish ahead of quite a few drivers, including Brandon Honeycutt, Brendan Wilcox, Truth Hoke, and even Kensley Smith to some degree. So really, as long as he can finish ahead of Kensley Smith, he might be okay. And I don't see Smith out here on our field. So that does a lot for him to try to move him up above that cut line.
I have Kensley Smith actually in 16th.
Oh, there he is. Sorry, I'm blind.
It's okay. It's okay, buddy.
I can't hear, I can't see. I'm like the Helen Keller of iRacing broadcasting.
You remember remember the movie Hear No Evil, See No Evil with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor?
I do.
You're living both lines right now.
I am. As we see Paul Shaw here in our YouTube.com live chat saying the name's Cox. Shay Cox.
That is awesome.
But 20 laps in the book so far. Now, we're going to see a lot of different strategies tonight. As now here we see Marshall Harris hop to the top of the line. Now, he stayed out, and so did Lee Campbell.
This would be the point where you would short circuit and text me.
Oh, yeah. You would be getting a text right now with me screaming at you hysterically saying, get down in the pits! But because these other drivers now have 18-lap newer tires. Most of these drivers came down and grabbed a fresh pair of tires. As Marshall Harris and Lee Campbell, both of those drivers going to be starting with old tires. I'm curious to see how this restart's going to go.
Get out of the way and let the faster cars get by you.
You see,
I
you
don't-
say that.
That's what I do.
And I've watched you do it. See, now that's the question that I would have to raise to a driver who stays out, and you're one of them that has this problem. What is the advantage to staying out? For me to sit there and scream at you hysterically to get in, get in, get in? Or is there some type of is there some type of George W. Bush strategy?
Oh no! Look, it's all purely track position to try to lead a lap to get some points. Every point counts for sure. So that's why. Ask Alexander Gangler; he'll tell you.
Gangler will tell you that he's got some kind of mad scientist thing going on, and he don't. Marshall Harris watches the iRacing.com pace car dip on down pit road, hits the Geico restart zone, and off we go as we conclude our first set of caution laps here. Marshall Harris with a good jump over Lee Campbell. Now, he and Campbell are going to have to work together if they think that they can hold off the likes of Ed Jurgen and Shay Cox, as they are now 3 wide behind him. Watch Ed Jurgen go as we go down the backstretch, 3 wide. Oh, God. The 14 of Lee Campbell wisely backs out of the way. The 007 of Shay Cox keeps the high side. That's where the speed is left up here on this racetrack. And coming out on top of that battle is Ed Jurgen, who just came down on lap number 19 for pit service. He's about to strap on his hairnet and get around. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's Shay Cox getting ready to strap the hairnet on to get around Ed Jurgen in the 92. And they are still chasing down Marshall Harris, as Harris has now opened up a 0.6 of a second lead over Jurgen.
I mean, surprisingly, he's able to get away and actually have a decent jump and not, pull the, hey, I'm scared, let's go to the back.
Well, that's true as they come side by side out of turn number 4. Here is Brendan Wilcox as we're going to look above. Here in the 26, he's going to follow the 17 of Kevin Stone down to the low side. Nope, he changes his mind and stays up on the high side just behind Dennis Kane. We saw Dennis Kane make good work of that high side, and now Brendan Wilcox has figured out the same thing as we go on board with Wilcox here in the HendrickCars.com number 26 Chevrolet Camaro. He's not hugging the wall up there like Kane is, and that's why Kane is able to do it. Whoa! Loose as a goose down the front stretch. That's Curtis Ecker, maybe. Who is that? That's the 11. Or the 41 of Aaron Marquis, who got all kinds of loose. Marshall Harris maintains the lead. We stay green here on lap number 25, but don't look now as we look from the rear. And Marshall Harris is about to have to give away that P1 spot. He's actually shifting down here in turn 3.
He might be doing that.
Now he gets a good launch out of four and back to the front stretch to hold off Ed Jurgen, who is now in hot pursuit, chasing him like a kid who owes lunch money. And Harris simply blocks him.
Oh, boy. Marshall Harris.
There's going to be some hurt feelings there. Harris is trying to get into the playoffs. Jurgen, not a playoff contender at all. And here comes the 007 of Shay Cox underneath Jurgen. They both came down on lap number 19, started alongside one another when the green flag came back down, as Lee Campbell has now melted back into 5th position. Looking to split the middle here was Ed Jurgen, but now Shay Cox throws the block, makes contact with the 21. That sends the 21 up the racetrack in the RC Cola Toyota Camry. Nope, Ford Mustang, my bad. No, Toyota Camry.
It's Toyota.
I can read words.
Hey,
as the 007 of Shay Cox holding on to the low side now, makes the pass and secures away the lead, bringing along Ed Jurgen behind him. But now Jurgen is going to have to contend here with the 21 as well. And the 21 is just all over that bumper there as we're going to go on board.
Look, Shay Cox had a 2-for-1 special, and I tell you what, now you got other drivers with that 2-for-1 special working.
Yeah, Marshall Harris out of Aurora, Colorado, trying to chase down Brandon Sanfilippo. As Sanfilippo holding his own here, getting around Marshall. And Harris now slips back into fourth position right with Lee Campbell, as those two drivers are going to be desperately holding on to the top 5 for the time being. But Shay Cox getting ready to let the sails out and start flying away from Ed Jurgen and Brandon Sanfilippo.
Oh, man, Shay Cox. Look, I think he heard us. He's trying to get away from Jurgen and Sanfilippo. But, you know, Marshall Harris, he's got to finish in the top 5 and or win. I think that's the only pathway I can see for Marshall Harris to get into the playoffs.
Well, and to be fair, right now he's doing a heck of a job, getting himself in position to win. It's a matter of being able to now bridge the gap between the pit cycles, because right now he's got 30 laps on those tires, does Marshall. And Marshall Harris here out of Aurora, Colorado, trying to compete with drivers who just came in for pit service. Now, if he can hang on to that and get a quick caution at this point, you may see everybody come in for another set of tires. 30 laps in the books, just about a third of the way through this race, as now Shay Cox leads this piece by better than 0.3 of a second, closing in on 4. But Ed Jurgen's starting to get into a good groove, and that's the kind of racetrack that Homestead Miami is. I mean, down here in the Sunshine State, once you get into a good groove, you're dangerous at this place. I saw it last year when we were down in October, and I see it again right now here on iRacing.com. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, as Mullica Hill, New Jersey's Ed Jurgen is now challenging Shay Cox for the lead.
Yeah, Ed Jurgen and Shay Cox, look, it might be the Jurgen and Cox show. But here comes the whole mess right here, and leading that mess back there is, that would be Dennis King. And Kevin Stone and Lee Campbell, all back there racing 3 wide for reasons unknown.
We're going to go back there and take a look at it now as we see some of that sort of settling itself out. Kevin Stone now racing alongside the 21. Now we see the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman kind of coming out ahead of the 21, bringing along Curtis Ecker in the number 19 Chevrolet Camaro, as now Kevin Stone is under attack from Brandon Zimmerman. Zimmerman looks to the inside now. Zimmerman, of course, one driver that just lost his position in the playoffs, as he was one of the drivers I had to figure out what happened to him and whether or not there's a pathway to the playoffs for him, and there is not, after being absent last week. So that kind of really screwed him over there. But now Shay Cox here in the 007 leads the way, and the top 3 right now are non-playoff drivers.
I tell you what, I'm hoping that next year I'll be in the playoffs, but as there was no pathway for me to even be in the playoffs, so.
There's a pathway for you to go to the playoffs. The same pathway that Tony Romo takes in the broadcast booth.
Hey, you know what though? I want to mention this. I did have fun last night.
That's all that matters, having fun.
Hey, I feel like that last night we kind of made history, taking sim racing media to the real world, and I spread the news like crazy.
Well, you know what? Sim racing media has kind of been a farm, if you will, of real-world talent, as, of course, you entered the world of dirt track racing as a member of the media, covering that race down there on the dirt. Of course, I have gone slightly different into high school football and play-by-play for that as well. Back here, Aaron Marquis goes 3 wide. They settle it out so far, but the 84 Coors Light machine of James Malloy works the high side and almost gets ready. Yeah, we're going to see it. Throws the block in front of the 41. Aaron Marquis just had a Code Brown moment, and coming out of turn 3 and 4, is Chris Blasi, who was a little loose coming out of 4. And here comes the finger-licking good number 10, driven by Kirby Wainscott, as he is pushing. And Kirby Wainscott came down on lap number 19 as well. So right now, William Skinner, and Marshall Harris, they're running along together. And Lee Campbell has now slid all the way back to 18th position. So right now, William Skinner, who also did not come down during the last pit cycle, well, technically the first pit cycle, now runs in 11th position.
Boy, you gotta love the Colonel Kirby Wainscott, and that number 10 car. Hey, look, he's had a good run.
I'll say this: I did finally taste. I shouldn't say finally. I did, for the first time in a long time, taste one of the Colonel's biggest contending, people.
Did you eat more chicken?
No, I get that all the time, and it's terrible. No, I went to Bojangles.
Ooh, I never had it, but I definitely do want it.
Well, I mean, here I am, nice and fresh and relaxed from vacation over the weekend, a long weekend from Saturday to yesterday in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And first thing I wanted to do when I got off the airplane was I was hungry as a hostage and pulled into a Bojangles, and my God, what a delicious treat that was.
I will, yeah, definitely. But going, sim racing media, last night, that was the start of in the real world stuff. Friday night, next Friday night, I'll be at Granite City, Illinois, covering the Mars Super Dirt Late Model Series behind the lens.
See, now that's exciting. My debut as a real dirt track play-by-play announcer got my hopes and dreams were dashed, as the racetrack that I was supposed to be working at on Saturday before Myrtle Beach, actually they lost their sponsor. Whoa! Contact between the 13 and the 29.
Oh!
Bryce Hunter holding off Brandon Honeycutt, and Honeycutt has to be angrier than a hornet that just got kicked by someone's sneaker. Somebody almost had to tell Thomas J. that he can't see without his glasses after that hornet's nest was kicked. But the racetrack that I was supposed to be at on Saturday before Myrtle Beach wound up canceling their race because they lost their sponsorship. And the promoter got fired.
Well, I tell you what, let's go buy a dirt track.
I'm good. That's like saying let's go buy an elephant. I'm fine. And who will take care of the dirt track? And who will feed the dirt track? Suddenly I become the little red hen, as under assault is Shay Cox, with Ed Jurgen starting to creep in and cut that lead now in half, as he was just out to a 0.4 of a second lead, and now less than 0.2 of a second as Ed Jurgen behind Shay Cox. Here on lap number 43, we're approaching the halfway point in about 10 laps. And things are starting to really heat up here. And when we get to that halfway point, the question that you're going to ask yourself is, can Skinner, Campbell, and now I get the hiccups. Can Skinner, Campbell, and Harris make this a one-stop race?
I don't think so. I hate to say it, I don't think so. I think they come down within probably around lap 60. Maybe lap 60 they can from there, but I don't see it from
That would be a
here.
one-stop race, though. We're only 105 laps tonight, bud.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, math is not a strong suit in Illinois. Or, I'm sorry, Missouri.
No, look, we're doing St. Louis math as we come to know it.
No, you're doing St. Louis meth. It's not math, it's meth. Taking a closer look here at Brandon Sanfilippo, he's starting to close in on Shay Cox, as he has now gotten around Ed Jurgen, who was just challenging Shay Cox during that battle. They lost a little bit of ground to Cox, as Cox is running hard here on lap number 45. Brandon Sanfilippo still trying to get it done.
Yeah, GC Sanfilippo just closing in on Shay Cox. Here he goes for the lead as we come back out to the wide shot, and can't quite get him cleared as Sanfilippo is going to wisely jump back in the line and reload and try again. Ed Jurgen is almost wanting to try to get that 2-for-1 special as he's slowly closing that gap. There's the eyeball test, and it's about almost 7/10 of a second. Almost a second, actually, from Jurgen to Sanfilippo.
Taking a look at that timing tower, our highest non-playoff driver who's on the bubble is Wilcox, and Brendan Wilcox right now running in 4th position. He's got to finish a little bit higher. In fact, he's a win and in driver just like Marshall Harris is, and now Harris has fallen all the way to the back of the race pack, and Harris is now running dead last in 20th position. He's going to need a lot of help. Skinner here is still running in 11th position even on those old tires. Skinner!
Well, I tell you this right now, though. William Skinner is making it work. Yeah, he might be back there in 11th, but you know what? It's a long race. And I tell you what, though, going back to Marshall Harris, he's going to need a hope and a prayer.
Well, Harris comes down pit road. Now, the question is, does he stay on the lead lap? Let's see what happens. He's going to get 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast here on lap number 49, so just shy of the halfway point. So we now know that nobody could make it on just one stop. He gets a little bit of repair done, and off we go. Now he's going to stay on the lead lap ahead of Shay Cox. That's going to be an interesting move as he now rolls off a pit road with fresh shoes and a full tank of fuel.
He's just down the lead lap for now.
Well,
They're going to come past him.
Here they come across the start-finish line, now coming into turn 2. Harris is going to have to pedal harder than he catches the caution.
If I'm Marshall Harris, I'm finding the nearest church and putting a 20 in the plate.
Put a 20 in the plate and then go right on down the street to 7-Eleven and get yourself a Powerball ticket. They tried to say that he was a lap down. iRacing timing and scoring says he's a lap down.
Oh, you know what? He might be.
No, because they weren't at him yet.
Either way, he's still not a lap down because, well, he would have the lucky dog.
Yeah, but he would have the lucky dog and go to the end of the longest line. Let's take a look back here and see what happened that brought this out. Let's take a look. And there's contact between the 84 and the 11. That loosens the 84, and he goes a-spinning and gets clipped by the 41 of Aaron Marquis. And James, Lord almighty. As James Malloy was sliding down the racetrack, the 19 came by and just completely annihilated him.
Truth Hoke got a major piece of that, and I don't think that Truth Hoke is going to put James Malloy on that Christmas card list this year.
No, I do not think so at all. In fact, let's see what happened once again as we're going to go right here to the caution. We'll watch timing and scoring too, but here's the 84 of James Malloy. Now we'll watch the 19. So he gets clipped by the 41, spins around, and gets down the racetrack. Oh, that wasn't the 19. That was the 55.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not going to make him a happy boy.
Yeah, Truth Hoke is madder than the keyboard elf getting demoted to Fudge Packer.
Yeah, I'll say. Took the words right out of my mouth. You can see Hoke here with a full head of steam. He knows that the wreck is happening in front of him. He can see it happening. And he decides to go low. Oh.
Okay, now I'm going to have the racer in me come out.
Now, here's the thing.
Okay.
Now, here's what I'm going to say. It's not ARCA braking per se, but this is the time in any kind of accident where you need to hold your brake. Watch the wheels here on the 84. The 11 clips him. There it is. That's the initial contact. The 11 scampers by. He holds the brake, and then when he starts going in reverse, he's not standing on the brake hard enough because you can see those rear brakes still spinning. If he would have held the brakes harder, those wheels would have stopped spinning.
Correct. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to ask, why didn't he just hold the brake? Why didn't he just,
And Marshall Harris should not have been scored a lap down, but he is back in 15th position now.
Pierce Hook is, I believe, solidly in the playoffs.
He is. Now let's watch from high above the racetrack. Now here's the 21 coming off of pit road. Now he comes onto the access road. And this is while the cars are coming back toward him. But they never get to him, and now the caution flag comes out. I'm waiting to see when those lights turned on. And they haven't. And there they are. Let's see if I can get this from his nose.
I have breaking news for you in the garage area.
Go ahead.
Currently, Truth Hook sits 13th in the points.
Well, Truth Hoke just had himself a bad night. Let's watch this. We have a lot to go. We have a lot to go over here tonight, folks. Obviously, as it is regular season championship night. Now, right when we see these lights turn on, we're going to go back to the rear-facing camera. So here he comes off of pit road, back to full speed. There's the light. And they aren't even anywhere near him.
No.
He should not have been scored a lap down. I think race control needs to make a decision there, and maybe they should extend the caution, but now they can't. The whole he would have to lap the whole field, and then the whole field would need to.
They can extend the caution.
They can extend the caution, yeah, but I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, Marshall Harris, who stayed out, was the lucky dog, was scored the lap down errantly by iRacing timing and scoring. He should be our race leader right now, not Shea Cox.
You're not wrong.
A little bit of drama and treachery here on the racetrack tonight as the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road once again. Just past the halfway point here on lap number 55, and we're back underway with Shea Cox, your race leader, whether he belongs there or not, ahead of San Filippo. I'm very upset about that.
I think iRacing just pulled an Austin Dillon.
Yeah, I'm not saying sports are fixed, but good Lord.
Well, as everybody's going up to the top to do work, Brandon Zimmerman will lead this. Here comes the 007 of Cox. Shea Cox. Brandon Zimmerman
the 007 gets ready to. The 007 gets ready to do with the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman, and he's got San Filippo, the other Brandon. We have Brandon, and Brendan. Brandon, and Brendan. Oh, good God.
Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, well, who do you call? Brandon, and Brendan.
Shea Cox gets the lead right now on lap number 57. Here comes Brandon Zimmerman. Looking to the inside, and door bumper not so clear. I like how he did that.
That was pretty good, bud. It's called working one in.
Hey, I do that every once in a while. Here comes Brandon Zimmerman sliding up in front of Shea Cox in that 007 car. Meanwhile, back a little bit further, you got Brandon Sanfilippo and Brendan Wilcox in that number 26 car, battling pretty hard for. Well, they're trying to take third from Ed Jurgen. Brandon Zimmerman taking a look underneath Shay Cox one more time. Coming out of 4. Does he get him cleared?
He does make the pass.
Oh.
And here comes Cox back up hard and stiff right past Brandon Zimmerman.
Ooh, into the wall. Darlington stripe.
He catches a little piece of wall, but now Brandon Zimmerman rolls out of turn 2 and down the back chute just ahead of the 007 of Shay Cox. Cox having to look from behind to find another way in as Bryce Hunter in the 29 now has to hold off, and he can't. Brandon Honeycutt. There's a lot of B names in this way, and here comes Honeycutt. He thought about splitting the 19 and the 29. Doesn't do so, the 19 and the 4, and Dennis Kane maintains 7th position for the time being, but now he has to hold off Curtis Ecker, who now runs in 8th position.
Working lap 60. Here comes Dennis Kane to the inside of the 17 car of Kevin Stone. He's going to slide right up in front of him. Here comes, I believe that's the 19 of Curtis Ecker. There's too many Coca-Cola cars out there. That's the problem. Oh boy. And Dennis Kane right in the outside line. Here comes Curtis Ecker on the inside.
Dennis Kane has had a lot of success here on that outside line as he runs in 6th position. Wow, I can't say that one very easily. And right now, Brandon Zimmerman holding off Shay Cox, as right now, Brendan Wilcox is our highest running non-playoff driver, and he's a win-and-in kind of driver tonight as we work lap number 61 of 105 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We have the number 12 of Brandon Sanfilippo now working underneath the 26 of Brendan Wilcox, and here we go, watching him take away 5th position. That slides Wilcox into 6th and keeps Zimmerman in the lead as Shay Cox, we're going to go on board with him now, getting a run here at Brandon Zimmerman, looking to use that Dennis Kane high line to see if he can get a lot more momentum than the 65 has. Right here as the DoorDash number 65 gets ready to hold him off, and here he comes with a run on the front side. The 65 cuts low to kind of get out of the way as he doesn't want to be in the way of somebody with that much speed. But now all of a sudden, Shay Cox knows how to get himself up here and into the lead when that time comes.
Okay, Dave, I have a question. Does this track race the same in the virtual world as it does in the real world?
This track absolutely races the same in the real world that it does in the virtual world. In fact, the Xfinity cars, I don't know if you've seen them here, but that's literally where Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran his Xfinity car last October when we were down there for almost the entire race, all but flirting with the wall as if he was just too nervous to ask it out on the day. But now Shay Cox working here into the lead, past Brandon Zimmerman as we work lap number 64. They're side by side coming into turn 3. Watch the 007 work his tail off as now he's got to hold off the 92 of Ed Jurgen. He's got to try to get ahead of the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman. He is now the busiest man on the racetrack.
I mean, look, Brandon Zimmerman's under fire from Shay Cox and Ed Jurgen, and you can even throw Brandon Sanfilippo in the mix. As Paul Shaw says, there's too many Brandons.
And here we are on lap number 65 of 105, about 40 to go right now, as Brendan Wilcox now slides back into 9th position, and it's starting to get a little dicey. Watch the 9 of Bill Skinner. Skinner! Whoa! That's exactly what the 21 just had to have been screaming as he passes for 12th position and now sets his sight on Kensley Smith in the 15, who instead of his regular Michael Waltrip throwback paint scheme, he has gone to the Steve Park throwback paint scheme from the DEI days, as we are here on lap number 66, officially 40 to go.
40 to go, the Pennzoil ride. Oh man, that's a beautiful looking car.
The Pennzoil machine looking fantastic as always. And I'll tell you what, there's something fancy about the Pennzoil machine. I think that yellow just really pops for you, and that's how it's easy to find on the racetrack. As we see Dennis Kane here in the number 4, and in the Moza Ford Mustang, That dark horse cranked up to crazy on the high side now of Brandon Honeycutt, as Honeycutt dips down just below the 4 and now sets his sights on the 29 of Bryce Hunter. These drivers know that this is, the regular season finale, and right behind our race leader is Shay Cox trying to take some air off the back of the 65. We're going to go on board right now. Take a look at this, folks. My God, Shay Cox is a man on a mission.
I mean, he has a real shot of getting him a win here tonight. Even though he's not going to make the playoffs. But, it's still worth noting that he's definitely going to try to play spoiler. But Brandon Zimmerman could also play spoiler, as he's currently the biggest mover of the race, up 18 spots.
As we widen things back out to our blimp cam, we can see now Shay Cox starting to fall behind Brandon Zimmerman as he's opening the gap to about 0.3 of a second and then some. So these tires starting to weaken up here with about 20 on them. Let's take a look at the pit strategies here in the bottom of your screen. 17 laps for everybody in the top 10 except for Kensley Smith, who's got 16 laps. So he came in just 1 lap later than everybody else. And that's going to be a key factor.
As we had that graphic up with the pit strategy, for the viewers at home that think that we're reading gibberish, how does this graphic work?
So this graphic basically shows you how many pit stops that they've made, and how many laps they had on that set of before coming into the pits. So, for instance, Brandon Zimmerman came in after 18 laps, then ran 33 before coming in again, and now has 18 laps on this set of tires.
Okay. Just clearing it up for the viewers at home. We like to inform and entertain. As right now, Shay Cox running in second, trying to run down Brandon Zimmerman, if you will, and that 65 car as we look a little bit deeper back in the field. Andrew Tuff brought out the mech at night.
Rub of the wall from the 21 here just behind Andrew Teff. That's going to cost him some, much needed time. As Marshall Harris came in on lap number 47, everybody else came in on 51, 52, and 53. And I still argue that Marshall Harris should have restarted in the lead, as he's now side by side with Lee Campbell.
I don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you, but,
I'm just angry at iRacing.
Look, either way, I think Marshall Harris has enough speed in that car he can get back up to the front. Play a little strategy. Just be calm and be cool and collective, and you'll be back there.
Right you are, as we work lap number 73 of 105. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We're glad to be with you folks tonight. We want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We appreciate each and every one of you that is tuned in, and we love all of you and all of the interaction that we get from you in our live chat. As Paul Shaw is saying that there's too many Brandons, and quite frankly, Paul, I do not disagree, if you will.
No. Also, though, hit those likes, subscribe, and get those bell notifications going. Start ringing these bells. Let's get on the path to 5,000 subscribers.
I think we're going to have 5,000 subscribers by the time I'm done running at Daytona on the 25th. I do have to begin the transition of bringing the rig here back into existence, because I tried to practice here at the desk, and let me just tell you, I miss my rig.
I'm going to tell you that hopefully Sunday night we'll get to see you drink an ice cold frosty Budweiser. I won't let him live it down.
Brendan Wilcox here in the 26 machine. He's starting to work just underneath the 21 of Marshall Harris. He slides by pretty easily, and here we go under caution.
Awesome.
Third one of the night. Not a bad, rating. Whoa!
What happened to Kinsley Smith?
Kinsley Smith in the 15. Let's see what happened
crashed.
here. because Kensley Smith does not look like he was a happy camper at the end of this. And here we go. Let's watch Kensley Smith in the 15 machine.
Yeah.
All by his lonesome here on the high side. And
Oh, Andrew Taft.
Oh! No, this starts in front of him. Maybe Smith, that was the 19 of Curtis Ecker. So Ecker may have had to check up in front of Smith. Smith checks up, and Taft did not.
That's what I thought had happened.
So here we are under caution for the third time this evening. We're going to quick step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Riegel, he's Alan Bergen, and this is Sim Racing Media.
Wholesale pit stops.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. Dave Riegel and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We're here on regular season finale night in the Racers Elite Cup Series, and folks, these drivers have not disappointed. We may have had some disappointing issues with audio at the beginning of this piece, but here on lap number 78, it's our third caution of the evening, so just about 25 laps between cautions. That means that if we follow that law of averages, we've got one more of these left to pedal through.
I don't think so. I think with a little over 25 laps, I think we're going to be green all the way. Knock on wood. And look, if that doesn't if we get another caution, I say it stays green. You can send all your hate mail to John or Mike DeMoney at simracingmedia.com. Oh man, I said you can send all your hate mail if we don't stay green to Mike DeMoney at simracingmedia.com.
Well, here we are, lap number 79. The iRacing.com pace car lights are still on, so we'll have one more lap of caution here. When we go back green flag racing, it's going to be Ed Jurgen, Shay Cox, Brendan Sanfilippo, Brendan Honeycutt, Kevin Stone, Dennis Kane, Andrew Teft, Brendan Wilcox, Lee Campbell, and Marshall Harris, your top 10. And now Harris has gotten himself onto the same pit cycle as everybody else has been for the first time since the drop of the green flag. So now we get to see what his competability is with these other drivers.
I mean, at least he didn't stay out and short circuit Dave Riegel.
Nobody wants to do that. There's only a few of you that I will start to angry text during the middle of a race if you do something boneheaded.
I tell everybody,
Dangler, don't let me catch anybody who wears Sim Racing Media garb being a bonehead on the racetrack. I will come after you.
come at me, bro.
It's a 3-hour flight. It's going to be a long trek.
I'll pick you up at the airport.
I'm fine. I don't need a ride from the airport. I'll walk.
It's a long walk.
I could use the exercise.
It's about a $70 Uber ride too.
Well, I'll walk until it's less. Kinsley Smith
Meanwhile-
coming off of pit road here. Ed Jurgen, he's going to be our race leader when the green flag flies. We come into turn number 3 and 4. And we get ready to watch the iRacing.com pace car get ready to dip on down pit road. Setting itself up. 3, 2, 1. There's the hash mark. There's the turn. Barney's got the green flag in the air. We hit the Geico restart zone. Jurgen drops the hammer and off we go.
Look at that jump that Ed Jurgen got. Here comes Brandon Honeycutt, though. Oh, boy, we're going to get cranked up to crazy here on lap number 81. And, yes, I'm stealing all of Dave's one-liners.
That's fine. If you're going to steal one-liners, at least make sure they're from the best of the best.
Hey, look, I've been stealing them all day long.
That's fine. I'm used to people plagiarizing. Just remember, I'm often imitated and never equaled.
Well, look, as we got more action in the back here than a Waffle House at 3 a.m.
Yeah, the
Here comes
65
Andrew.
is starting to melt through the standings as now that is Brandon Zimmerman, who can't seem to get around Marshall Harris in the 21, who's now being timed in 6th position. Harris starting to climb through the rankings here as he now drifts up. Wow, the 12 just got loose coming out of 2. But now Harris side by side with the 17. That's Kevin Stone as he now puts his sight on the 12 of Brandon Sanfilippo. Sanfilippo's going to have to hold it steady while the 65 almost takes it 3 wide. He's using a lot more racetrack than he should be allowed to right now as the 12 of Sanfilippo scurries away from the mayhem behind him.
Lap number 83. Here comes Marshall Harris. And, don't look now, but here comes Kevin Stone looking to the inside of Brandon Sanfilippo as we're riding on board. And we're looking back at Kevin Stone, that 17 car. And I tell you what, Dave, we need the faster to say something inspirational. You might have to get a hold of him.
For some reason, my screen keeps flashing back and forth. That's a fun one. Thanks, Microsoft. I appreciate you.
Gotta love Microsoft.
Yeah, Bill Gates has me by the mother.
You know, every time that you short circuit over your PC, all I think of is the commercial where the guy's hitting the enter button so many times, and then he just picks the computer up, right out the window, and tosses it out.
Well, you know, I get mad at some people because they'll start to... Whoa! The 65 gets loose, bangs into the 21. Brandon Zimmerman makes contact with the 21. That slows the 21 of Marshall Harris down, opens the door now for Brandon Wilcox, as Wilcox and Harris are both battling it out for what could be the final spot in our playoffs. Ed Jurgen, though, starting to step away once again, now has just about 0.3 of a second and then some over Brandon Honeycutt.
Oh, Mr. Ed Jurgen. Out to the big lead. He's 0.3 of a second. We got 20 to go.
Here we are at 20 laps to go. Ed Jurgen leading the way now as he has become suddenly the Pied Piper of Homestead Miami. Just behind this wall, of course, is where the racetrack office is, where you can pick up your VIP passes. As Brandon Honeycutt now starts to lay in a course to find his way up here to Ed Jurgen. And Jurgen just starting to step away from everybody as side by side goes the 17 of Kevin Stone, and Shay Cox just slides past him as if he's got all kinds of grease there on the side of the 007 as they now go side by side again and trying to use up a little more of the grease on that axle as Kevin Stone, as he starts to try to serve lunch here to Shay Cox, and Cox is not about to let anybody slip by.
Yeah, here comes, oh boy, Kevin Stone, Shay Cox on the outside. Kevin Stone on the inside. They're side by side coming out of 4. We continue to watch that battle.
Ed Jurgen working his way forward. Now Bryce Hunter in the 29 looks to the inside of Andrew Teft, securely in the playoffs. So Teft is just trying to keep it steady and get all these laps in tonight. 18 laps to go here at Homestead Miami. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. I am honored to be the voice of the Racers Elite Cup Series because these drivers make it interesting every single week, and this week is no different as now Marshall Harris is trying to be side by side with that playoff contender of the 26 of Brendan Wilcox. And I'll tell you what, between these two cars, it's going to come down to paint schemes to see who I want to win this one more. So, folks, put it in the live chat. Would you rather see the RC Cola machine make it into the playoffs, or would you rather see HendrickCars.com?
I'm gonna go RC Cola.
Also, something that I experienced. Speaking of RC Cola, something that I experienced in Myrtle Beach while I was down there the last few days. I now know what cheer wine is. So for all of you Southerners who have told me that cheer wine is delicious, I now have become one of you. It also mixes well with vodka.
Can't argue that. Yeah, I was going to point out, too, that Brendan Wilcox and Russell Harris can't seem to get away from each other. So who's going to finish ahead of who? As we got 15 laps to go here in this one, and it's anybody's game right now.
Yeah, I mean, something tells me Brandon Honeycutt is just kind of loading up for Bear here in the 13. Now, as I take a quick peek here at Brandon Honeycutt, Honeycutt fell all the way down to 14th position. He's got one win in his cap for the season. If he's able to pull out the win tonight, that would put him back into the playoffs. So technically, he should be dyed red too.
Technically.
The only driver in the playoffs this season with 2 wins is Matt Schlosser. Now, Schlosser's
He's not
wins... What's that?
He's not in the field.
Nope, Schlosser does not have the 400 in the field tonight, but his 2 wins this year came at the Detroit Grand Prix and back at Pocono Raceway. So if somehow Honeycutt can pull out the win, he would secure that playoff spot back to himself.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Dennis Kane now riding the high line again. Oh! Makes contact with the 29, sends the 29 a spinning. But we stay green as the 29 never turns sideways on the racetrack with 13 laps to go. And here right now, time-wise, we're running about 33-second laps here. And I'll tell you what, time is starting to dwindle, and the sand is not, there's not a whole lot of sand left in the top of the hourglass.
I love it. You used one of mine. I love it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The sand to the hourglass is definitely starting to run out for Brandon Honeycutt and even Shay Cox. We're working 12 laps to go here, and that's the eyeball test. A half-second lead is all, and that's what separates Jurgen and Honeycutt right now. You gotta wonder, if Shay Cox go to the high side, is he gonna be able to find just a little bit of grip that's gonna propel him past Brandon Honeycutt and maybe have a chance in 10 laps to run down Ed Jurgen? So that's the question we gotta answer right now. Brandon Sanfilippo back there fourth as a second back, which doesn't seem like a significant gap, if you will, as Brandon Honeycutt is giving chase out of Elizabethton, Tennessee. Is he going to start looking on the inside? 10 laps to go here left in this one. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the north side of crazy as, Brandon Honeycutt trying to venture up that outside line.
You know, I was about to say it, but Brandon Honeycutt was trying to use the low line so he can use a lot more of the racetrack here. The thing is, he had his left wheels on that seam down there on the low side of the racetrack, and there's not a whole lot of grip in that tar that fills in the gap. So when he was drifting back up, he actually got loose when he hit the upper seam. That's how a lot of these drivers are losing control of the cars. He's doing it again, but this time he puts the seam right in the middle of the wheels. He's able to come out of here with a steady amount of grip, and with 9 laps to go, all of a sudden Brandon Honeycutt is less than 4/10 of a second behind Ed Jurgen.
And that's just a small gap. I mean, that's almost like you'd be considered tailgating on the highway.
I mean, look, if you're going to tailgate, at least make sure that you've got a purpose. And all of us, and now I'm starting to see Ed Jurgen pulling away as he's now over 0.4 of a second away from Brandon Honeycutt. One of the closer battles on this racetrack right now is Brandon Sanfilippo trying to get in here on the action with Shay Cox, as Shay Cox has now reeled in Brandon Honeycutt. With 8 laps to go, all of a sudden some of the cream is rising to the top. Most of the playoff drivers who are locked into the playoffs have decided to get themselves back to safety behind Andrew Teft and Marshall Harris in 8th and 9th, as they don't want to be taken out. But here comes the pass from Shay Cox as he looked to the inside of Brandon Honeycutt, and Cox looked to the inside, couldn't make it work. He might have to give it the old hawk to it to slide past Honeycutt.
Better put a little less hawk and a little more tool on that thing. Here comes Brandon Sanfilippo, though. He's looking underneath the inside of Shay Cox.
And look at the 21 machine of Marshall Harris. He's trying to get it a little bit of a 2-for-1 deal with Andrew Teft and Brandon Zimmerman. Now, Zimmerman's to the inside. The 21 would need a caution and a miracle to try to get around the two of them, as Sanfilippo now in the 12 car runs in 3rd position. That's where he qualified for this race. And now he slides behind Shay Cox, as Cox now leads the 12 by less than 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, right now Ed Jurgen's rounding out of turn number 3 and 4 to come get the 5 to go, 5 flanges in the air for Shay Cox, or Ed Jurgen rather.
Rowan Lloyd saying that they hope everyone wins, and well, it's just not that kind of a league, as we are under the 4th caution of the night. There it is. All kinds of mayhem seems to have broken loose back here. Let's take a look and see what happened with Brandon Zimmerman as we go back to the replay. And there's the 21. Here's the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman getting contact from the 4 of Dennis Kane, gets himself turned and backs into that outside retaining wall. And oh, why wouldn't you get on your brake?
And that will make Dave short circuit.
And there's your boneheaded move of the day. There's the contact from the 4 getting the run on the 65 of Zimmerman. And Zimmerman just thought that he could run out of the way, and Bryce Hunter, meanwhile, just bought the big one. Let's take a look and see what this looked like from the perspective of the 29. And here comes Bryce Hunter on the high side. He sees the wreck in front of him. He stays low. Now, folks, here's the interesting thing there. Hunter didn't hold the brake either. He should have checked up where he was and waited for the track to clear itself, but he didn't. And now, Teft, Campbell, Harris, Wayne Scott, Skinner, and Marquis all come down pit road. And with 3 laps to go, that's going to trigger NASCAR overtime.
Okay, remember when I said we're getting cranked up to crazy, or on the north side of crazy? Now we're getting bull rider crazy. So the way the overtime works is we're gonna re-rack them and restack them here. We're 2 to go, and if we make it back to the white flag, after that, whatever happens, happens. But the caution comes out, we're gonna try it again. I believe we get 1 attempt at this on a 1.5 miles and 2 attempts at the super speedways. I may be backwards. Who knows? But nonetheless, Ed Jurgen is leading Brandon Honeycutt, Shay Cox, and Brandon Sanfilippo. Nothing's changed there. As well, did you save enough gas? Did you save enough fuel to the end? We're gonna find out.
Here we go with 3 to go. The iRacing.com pace car lights are on. It's going to be Jurgen, Honeycutt, Cox, Sanfilippo, and Kevin Stone, your top 5. Brandon Wilcox, Dennis Kane, Chris Blasi, Andrew Teft, and Lee Campbell, your top 10. Chris Blasi's a name that we haven't called that much tonight, but he's up 6 positions, while Brendan Wilcox is up 10 positions. He's the biggest mover of the race in either direction, so he qualified in 16th and now runs in 6th.
That is so crazy. Up 10 spots. And I think, I'm not for sure. Let me look here. I want to say that he would most likely be in. I know True Toke is going to be out.
And as my partner mentioned, when we come back to green flag racing, it'll be 2 laps to go. We're going to race around and try to get to the white flag. If a caution should come out between the waving of the green flag and the white flag, we will rack them, stack them, and do it all over again as we try to rumble, stumble, fumble our way back to the checkered flag. If the white flag flies, the next flag will end the race, whether that flag is checkered or yellow. If it should be the yellow flag, the field will freeze, and whoever is timed in the lead will win the race. When the checkered flag flies, whoever crosses first, they win the race, as Ed Jurgen now sits just behind the iRacing.com pace car. And as we ride along here with Brandon Honeycutt, you have to start to wonder what's going through some of these drivers' minds.
We are going to, win this race. Look, the time for strategy stuff is out the window. It's mash the gas and either see Jesus or the checkered flag.
Well, I think Harris is going to have his hands full if he thinks he's going to pull one out here. And I don't think he's got a prayer.
I don't think he's got a pathway. Right now he's 14th on the grid, and he's 15th in points. Brendan Wilcox, the highest bubble driver, right now is he's sitting 5th.
Ed Jurgen takes the green flag, and here we go. NASCAR overtime is underway. Jurgen gets a jump over top of Brandon Honeycutt and Brandon Sanfilippo. A pair of Brandons behind him. Let's go on board with Sanfilippo as he now watches Honeycutt slide by on the low side. We come out of turn 2 and onto the backstretch. The popsicle sticks go in the air. We're 2 laps to go. Now a lap and a half as we get ready to haul it into turn number 3. Ed Jurgen leading the way as the Pied Piper of Homestead Miami, a little town right outside of Miami Beach. As Jurgen comes out of turn 4, the popsicle sticks are going down. The white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers.
White flag in the air, Ed Jurgen, and that number 92 car. What a drive that he's had. But Brendan Wilcox currently sitting 4th position, up 12 spots. Here comes Brandon Honeycutt making a move on Sanfilippo, coming out of 4, but that doesn't matter because, Ed Jurgen's going to go on and win this thing.
Yeah, the more that they battle it out back there like a pair of kids in the back of the family station wagon, Ed Jurgen steps away from the field and captures the checkered flag. Ed Jurgen, driver of the number 92 Chevrolet Camaro, comes across the start-finish line and wins here in the regular season finale at Homestead Miami. Now, the interesting thing about the Jurgen, let's just say interaction, if you will, is that doesn't really do so much for any playoff hopes that he may or may not have had. I mean, Jurgen right now runs himself in 23rd position. That's not going to be enough, and he doesn't even have enough. He doesn't have enough races started to qualify for the playoffs. But he has still earned his way here to burn it down on the front stretch on that beautiful painted infield, and quickly loses connection. And I'll tell you what, I was down on the infield last year with Emily Urias, one of our teammates here at Sim Racing Media, and we got a chance to walk to the end of pit road and put our feet on the paint there at the end of pit road, and that is not – there is no grip in that whatsoever. I mean, I know they throw some of that shark tooth stuff in the paint to give it a little bit of grip, but no chance. I mean, Emily and I walked around the front, and we were like, no.
Oh.
And he just nosed it into the inside wall.
I think he did it on purpose. I think he did it on purpose. Sanfilippo. I think 2 of them are driving Extreme Inc. 10-4. Where did Honeycutt go? Oh, Honeycutt won't do. If he doesn't win, he won't do an interview.
And with us now here on the front stretch is our race winner, Ed Jurgen, driver the number 94. Hey, Ed, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, where are you, Dave?
Man, I'm good, but you've got to feel pretty darn good being a non-playoff driver, stealing one away from those guys trying to get in here on points now.
Yeah. I'm mad at that because I missed too many races. But it feels good to get a win. The Jurgen's lawn care Chevy was pretty fast tonight. Felt good all night. I just needed to get that clean air. That was the key.
Yeah, with these cars, especially in the Cup Series, I mean, it just seems like fresh air does so much for these guys. These cars. When you hit that clean air out in front, it has almost a perfect target to hit when it hits that front nose clip.
Yeah, the clean air was the key. I was behind. I forget who it was. Maybe Shea the whole time. I just couldn't get around him because of the dirty air. But then I beat him out of the pits, and that's what was the key.
Now, as we get ready to go into the playoffs, I mean, what say you? What's going to be your strategy? Are you going to try to play the spoiler again here in the playoffs, or what are you thinking?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna race the guys. I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't want it any other way. I'll be careful and won't make sure I don't hit anybody. But I'm gonna race them hard.
All right, my man. Well, listen, you brought one home to South Jersey, just outside of Swedesboro, New Jersey. I'm pretty sure is where Mullica Hill is. So congratulations to bring one home there to South Jersey. And before we cut you loose, who else do you need to tip your helmet to, and who helps you get it done on the Jurgen's lawn care machine?
Yeah, I thank my wife for putting up with this stuff. My son's lawn care business, Jurgen's Lawn Care, for sponsoring. You for host, for doing the broadcast. You do a great job, and Racer Elite. It's a good league.
All right, my friend, congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thanks.
And, Alan, I believe you have with you now our third-place finisher as Brandon Honeycutt has disappeared. I believe you have Brandon Sanfilippo with you.
Brandon Sanfilippo finished in third, right where he qualified. What would have been the strategy to take to help you get to finish two spots better?
I really like the low line. Really good tire saving line. It kept him cool. We just never had more than a half a run before a yellow. So I think I caught him about halfway through after that first yellow, and then we had another yellow right before I caught him. So I feel like if it would have went green, I would have been able to get a good gap going. But overall, no, it was a fun race. It was a good race. Shout out to Edward. That was a good last 2 laps there he ran. But it was good. I'm glad DEI finished 2-3 tonight, so getting some momentum going into the playoffs next week.
Yeah, definitely. And we start the playoffs next week. So what's going to be the strategy as we start the playoffs here in the Next Gen Series?
To start out, just avoid wreck, stay clean, and finish top 5. I think for the first few races, and then I usually go from there. I really don't take any big risks until the end if I have to. So just finishing top 5, I think, in these first couple races at least.
Well, look, man, before we get you out of here, is there anybody that you'd like to thank to help get you here tonight?
All my friends and family who watch, you guys for putting on the broadcast, Taft and everyone for putting on the league and all the drivers tonight. Just a fun race.
All right, Brandon Sanfilippo, good luck in the playoffs, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, appreciate it.
Well, Alan, the regular season in the
And
books
that was
now
Brandon
as we hit
Sanfilippo out of Driving Extreme Incorporated.
And well, Alan, another one in the books here, and the regular season is now behind us. Once they get those points updated, we'll get those to you folks next week as we get ready to head on out of here tonight. I'm just looking to refresh. There it is. Here's going to be your playoff picture going into next week. It's going to be Dennis Kane leading the way, then Andrew Teft, Alex Teft, Lee Campbell, Matt Schlosser, Kirby Wainscott, Curtis Ecker, Brandon Sanfilippo, Brandon Honeycutt, Brendan Wilcox, Diego Rodriguez, and Truth Hoke. Those are going to be your 12 drivers in the chase next week when we head on down to Auto Club Speedway out in beautiful Fontana, California, and I can't wait to get out there. Auto Club, one of my favorite racetracks. I know that there's a couple of other people here at Sim Racing Media who love it. I had a lot of success there in the ARCA series, but before we get out of here, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at our final results. Ed Jurgen brings home the checkered flag, and he's joined on the podium by Brandon Honeycutt and Brandon Sanfilippo. Brendan Wilcox and Shay Cox round out your top 5, while Chris Blasi and Andrew Teft come home in 6th and 7th. Kevin Stone and Dennis Kane come home in 8th and 9th, while Kirby Wainscott rounds out your top 10. Lee Campbell and Marshall Harris come home in 11th and 12th, with William Skinner in 13th. 14th position goes to Aaron Marquis, with Curtis Ecker in 15th. Truth Ho comes home in 16th, with Brandon Zimmerman and Bryce Hutter in 17th and 18th. And finishing out the rest of the field is Kensley Smith and James Malloy, after getting just 60 laps in before having to put it on the hauler for the night. So for those drivers, not a great night. For the other drivers who did not make it into the playoffs, there's always next season, and believe me, that one's right around the corner. But coming up next here in the Racers Elite Cup Series, it's going to be all about Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. So we thank all of you for tuning in and making us a part of your evening here on Sim Racing Media every single week. And for myself, Alan Bergen, and everyone else at Sim Racing Media, we want to thank you for tuning in, welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, and tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everyone.